Hey guys, it's Nailbiter, and before I get into this commentary, just a couple things that I wanted to quickly mention. One is I'm probably not going to be talking for the entire almost 10.5 minutes of this video. I know that's a little long for a commentary, so I'll probably only be talking for the first 7 or 8 minutes. I just had a lot of gameplay that I wanted to include in this video, and so I just threw it I threw it all in there, and my guess is I'll just only talk for the first 7 or 8 minutes or so. And the other thing that I wanted to quickly mention is that I actually got my wisdom teeth removed yesterday, and so as you may imagine, my jaw is a little sore, and it's a little uncomfortable to talk. It's just kind of, you know, it doesn't feel quite like it usually does. And the pain medication that I've been taking just to kind of dial down some of that soreness, the Vicodin, has made me a little drowsy and kind of groggy, so if I sound a little out of it, that's probably why. But I did want to do this commentary just because I want to try to keep up with posting my videos fairly regularly for the next 2 weeks or so. So actually, while I'm talking about getting my wisdom teeth removed, it was kind of funny. So I was given the option between just having the local anesthetic, the Novocaine, which is, you know, what you usually get if you're just getting one tooth removed or something, for a procedure like that, or where I would be awake for the entire procedure, getting my wisdom teeth removed, or I could just have a general anesthetic, so I would just get knocked out for the procedure. And the nice thing about the general anesthetic is that it basically feels like no time has passed between when you fall asleep and when you wake up. So I decided I'd go with the general anesthetic just because one, because I was kind of lazy and I didn't want to have to just sit through the entire procedure, which, I mean, it was only supposed to be 45 minutes to an hour, but just kind of sitting there and, you know, being able to hear everything that they were doing and talking, I don't know, I just felt like I'd be more comfortable just going to sleep for the procedure. And so, I mean, I wasn't really worried about the pain. I've had in the past a pretty good pain tolerance, so I just decided to go with the general anesthetic. And so, you know, before they're getting me set up sort of before the procedure, and part of having the general anesthetic is they have to put an IV into one of your veins so they can get the anesthesia into your body. And and I mean, I was a little nervous about it because I'd never had a general anesthetic before, so I was, you know, getting myself all prepared for just however it would work. And so the doctor comes over to me and she starts to try to put the IV into the vein in just under my left elbow, on the other side of my left elbow, and she can't get the IV in for some reason. So she's trying to like stick it in there and it's not working. So she tries my other elbow and in my right arm, and that one doesn't work either. So at this point, I mean, it ended up taking them like 10 minutes just to get the IV in my arm, and I was kind of like, really, like, it's I'm getting myself all sort of mentally prepared for the procedure, and it takes an extra 10 minutes for them to get started. So they actually ended up having to stick the IV into a vein in my wrist, which, I mean, it really wasn't that bad. It was just kind of, I don't know, I thought that was kind of funny. So anyways, I guess you guys probably didn't need to hear that, but I thought I would just mention that. So anyways, what I did want to talk about for the next couple of minutes just in this commentary is this new class setup that I've been using quite a bit the last week or so. And, you know, like I've mentioned before, and I mean, the game's been out for a while now, so now I'm just kind of messing around with different stuff and seeing if I find another class setup that I really enjoy using. And so the setup that I have here right now is I'm using the KH2002, and all these clips that you're just going to see throughout this entire video are the same class setup. So I'm using the KH2002 assault rifle, which is one of the assault rifles you unlock through co-op, and it's a burst fire assault rifle. So I think it fires 2-shot bursts, but I'm not positive about that. And I think actually in most of these clips I have smoke as my attachment, or as one of my attachments, and I have the foregrip, and I actually have the silencer on. I've been just kind of doing a lot with the silencer recently, and I do kind of like the perk of being able to stay off the enemy's radar when I'm shooting. So you know, that's just how I've been using it. And the other thing that you might be kind of surprised about is that I'm actually using the Kobra red dot sight, and because I know in the past I mentioned that normally I prefer to just leave the iron sights on, But in this case, I decided I'd just throw on the Kobra red dot sight because just in my watching some other YouTube videos, I've actually seen quite a few people using this sight, and so I thought I'd try it out, and I actually do like it quite a bit. And I think the reason why I like it so much is because you can kind of tell when I scope in, the actual size of the iron sight or of the sight is pretty thin, so not that much of my view is obstructed when I'm scoping in, which is really nice. And I actually kind of like the actual crosshairs, which took me a bit to get used to because I'd been more used to just using the red dot sight where it's just a single dot in the middle. But I do kind of like the 3 lines for the crosshairs. It's I don't know. It's a little different from what I usually use, and it's kind of nice. It was fun to try out. So I've actually been finding a lot of success with this setup, and the reason I like having the silencer on the KH2002 is that since it's a burst fire assault rifle, so even though I don't have heavy barrel on, the fact that it's a burst fire assault rifle means that I have it's a little easier for me to pick off enemies at longer distances. So the other thing that I really like about the KH2002 is that when you're scoping in with this gun, you actually strafe from side to side much faster than with some of the other assault rifles. And I think this is actually really important, at least for me. I really like this feature of this gun because, and I think you can kind of see this in the first clip that I showed in this video on Grand Bazaar. But the faster strafing just makes it a lot easier for me to move in and out of cover. And so, if I'm trying to sort of jump out from behind a wall or something and take a couple shots, I'll be exposing a lot less of myself if I am able to get back behind that cover really quickly, as opposed to some of the other guns where strafing is a lot slower when you're scoped in, and so you're going to be exposing yourself a lot more to enemy gunfire. And so I found this feature to be really helpful for this gun, and it actually makes a pretty big difference in just the way I play. And so that, coupled with the silencer and the fact that I'm still really able to pick people off at longer distances, makes this I think a pretty powerful combination. And so if you haven't tried out the KH2002, or if you haven't unlocked it yet, it's definitely something that I would say is worth trying out or worth trying to unlock. So one thing you do want to be careful about when you're using the KH2002, and I mean, this I think is the case with any of the burst assault rifles, is that especially when you're maybe trying to hip fire somebody at close range, or if you're just trying to shoot somebody really quickly at close range, the gun can jam if you try to shoot too quickly. And so it's happened to me a few times where I'm trying to hip fire somebody and I try to fire them too quickly and the gun jams, and then it just stopped shooting, and so I ended up getting killed. So that's one thing that you do have to be careful about, and it might just take a little bit of getting used to just to get to know the gun. The other thing that the KH2002 isn't as good at is it's not as good at picking people off who are moving. So you can kind of see, I think there are a few points where there are people running horizontally to me, and it's a little harder for me to kill them just because it's harder to kind of move the gun like it would be with just an automatic assault rifle. It's harder to move the gun from side to side and just keep your irons or your crosshairs directly on the enemy that you're shooting at. So those are a couple things that you just want to be careful of when you're using this gun. But otherwise, this is definitely a setup that I would recommend trying out if you haven't already used the KH2002. It's a lot of fun to use, and it's definitely the best burst assault rifle that you have available to you. The AN-94 I think is pretty bad, and the M16A4 isn't too bad, but I don't know, I like using the KH2002 a little more. So anyways, that's just about all I have to say for this video. There's about a minute or so, minute and a half left in the gameplay, so I'll just leave you guys to watch that, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to rate it if you did, and subscribe if you want to see more Battlefield 3 content. And otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.